Hello guys, NautoAis here, and this will be a lost thoughts on more on English dub not being included in Japanese game. This one was recorded in 2016 when I kind of give more thoughts about English dub not being in Japanese game. A lot of people starting to let their voice be heard, including myself, and like I said, Japanese company do aware, but at the same time, it's all about business. So if it doesn't benefit them, why would they do it? It is an unfortunate. Time and time again, everybody sees this. And it would be nice for one just to listen, but it is what it is. So with that said, here it is. More thoughts on me giving my thoughts on Japanese game, not including English dub. Hello guys, NautoAis here. And this is going to be some sort of rewind vlog. And that is English dub. If you've been following me for a while, then at some point I kind of get very active, very loud, quote unquote, about English dub. So there was at one point basically I would always call out the company, oh, you did not put dub here, and I'm going to explain am I doing the right thing or wrong thing. So let's rewind to the past and what am I talking about, how it all started. So this was really started when Tecmo Koei basically announced they were going to release Warriors Orochi 3 for the PS3 and Xbox 360. That was the first game. That was a game that kind of made me so quote-unquote active, loud, or to some extent aggressive about English dub. And the story behind that particular game and why also in the company at the same time we're going 180. Oh, well, to some extent 360, and I'll explain that later, is that when Warriors Orochi 3 at 2009 or 2010, basically in Japan, they were going to announce it. So one of the questions a lot of the Musa fan, and I was for a while, believe it or not, a Koei Musa fan. I do enjoy a lot of the game. I played a lot of Summer Warrior 2, Dynasty Warrior 5, Warrior Orochi 1 and 2, and because they had English dub. So basically, one of the rumors was going around is that Tecmo Koei, and this is time Tecmo and Koei already merged, they had a fear if they bring this game out, like should they bring the game or not. And one of the fears is that if we have to put English dub to a lot of those characters and the game doesn't sell, our business can get hurt. They're not going to go bankrupt, but let's just say they're not going to make any money. So there was some problem there. Okay, they won't release it and just keep it in Japan. Your fans outside Japan probably going to get mad and say, oh, you suck. They already been doing it for a while. Summer Warrior 3 for the PS3, Summer Warrior Empire 3 didn't come out in Japan. Strike Force 2 did not come out in Japan. A lot of the Koei game for a while did not come outside of Japan because of the poor sales of those games. Like Summer Warrior 3 for the Wii was Wii exclusive for a while. Didn't come out. Poor sale. I got the game for $7. You get an idea there. So they were kind of afraid if they bring the game out with English dub, they're going to lose a lot of money. So they really don't know what to do. At that point on, Tecmo Koei were really worried. So Warriors Orochi 3, there were some fans who basically wanted the game. And then at the time, Tecmo Koei said, we don't know what to do. We bring it out with dubs. If it doesn't sell, then we're going to lose a lot of money. We don't put dubs. We're probably going to be some problem to some extent because... And like I said before in my other past videos, that Sony had a policy that games must have English dub. That's in the PS2 era. They implemented also in the first half of the PS3, then after a while they finally got rid of that rule. Kind of like the anti-2D rule, and that's probably going to be a different story, but you kind of get an idea what Sony were doing. So they didn't know what to do until a community manager from Tecmo Koei Europe, that's the keyword, Europe. This community manager had an idea and he did a survey, and a lot of the fans, and I guess again it was probably Europe, and I didn't even see this survey, asked the fan, do you mind if a game does not have English dub? We'll release it as only Japanese sub. You will be okay with that? And I think the majority of people said yes. Again, I didn't hear the survey, but maybe it was only in Europe. I live in the US. So they got the survey, and the result, of course, you kind of get it because of Warrior Orochi 3. So suddenly they made an announcement, yes, Warriors Orochi 3 is going to come out in outside of Japan, but with a catch, no English dub. The minute the minute they mentioned that, boom, backlash, believe it or not. There were more loud noises than an English sub. Yeah, believe it or not, when a game doesn't have English dub, you're used to it, not anymore. The dub fans, including myself, well, not really part of this larger voice, but I do give my opinion, believe it or not. Yeah, they're more loud, but again, you get this mentality of, oh, maybe they're not really a lot. Like, how do you know it's not a lot? Well, we just know it's not. Again, another topic there, but that's always been a cliche. Oh, they're not a lot. But the bottom line is, yes, Warriors Orochi 3 was the first game for Tecmo Koei to not include dub. And then also now, a lot of company basically now saying they're doing it and thinking it's okay, but I know it's a business, but it kind of sucked there. So the big question about sub versus the people, the community, does your preference to some extent, and that's a keyword there, to some extent affects the other side of the group? Well, in my personal opinion, whether I like it or not, unfortunately is, to some extent, yes, it does affect the community. The reasons are sort of is, like I said, you gotta look at it in multiple perspective about this. And like I said, for me personally, if you put English dub, you're probably going to be able to sell this more because people can understand what the story is, what the premise is. They'll do less reading than before. And again, yeah, it's like, well, you should learn how to read. You don't be lazy, don't read. Well, I mean, that can be argued to Kingdom Come, but the bottom line is, you read, if you want to read a book. Playing video game is to play, to get interactive. It's interaction, not to read a video game. Yeah, there are games that teach you how to read, or basically the main objective of the game is to read, believe it or not. Nintendo did for the DS a classic 100 classic reading. Yeah, so to some extent, yeah, it is a problem, and it does affect the other group, and I'll explain that why. The reason why, to some extent, the preference of either English sub or dub is that it affects the other side. And the reason for that is sometimes people call this is holding a game hostage. So sometimes you kind of see this argument, oh, they're at least releasing it outside of Japan, so you should be happy with that. I mean, whatever, it's your opinion. Some people are okay with that. Some people are not okay with that. But yes, that sometimes is a problem. The one I can think of on the top of my head is Senkaku Basara series. They did it with the first one. They trying to make it Americanized. They're trying to say, oh, it's sort of related to Devil May Cry for market reason, and that failed. So there were some games that were coming out for the PS2. Capcom refused to release them because they didn't really have any sales. And then they gave it a chance again with Senkaku Basara Samurai Warrior, which is part 3, basically. That sold decently, but not enough to justify them to support the game. So that's one of the biggest problem there, is that they refused to release it because of the poor sale. And the funny part is, there was a guy, and I kind of mentioned this a long time ago. One guy suggests, why not just put it to sub to cut back on the cost? And at the time, Sven, he used to work at Capcom as a market manager, but people used to call him the marketer because the way he responds is sort of assy. But fortunately, depends on your opinion. He volunteered to be let go to the company because they were downsizing, but that was a long time ago. He basically said, well, if we didn't put English dub in the game, it's probably not going to sell, which is, to some extent, that is true. Look at some of the Namco Bandai game, kind of failed to sell because one of the complaint was the lack of English dub. With that, I'll see you guys later.